right now we're going to make a Mr. Heckles handbag at 85%, and I'm using leather for this, and the lining is Slick from Weft and Warp Co. So it's like a shiny surface, maybe polyester. I don't remember what it's made out of, but we're going to use that for the lining, leather for the exterior. So changes I made. First, I printed the PDF pattern at 85%. Typically, then any measure to cut pieces you would multiply by 0.85. So if something was 10 inches long, you would multiply it by 0.85, and now you would cut it 8.5 inches. There are some things here that did not just work out that way, and let me go over that. So handles, I still want my handles to be 1 inch wide. So what I'm using, and you may want to write this down if you want to do the same thing as me. Where are my handles? Okay, so my handle connectors are cut, I cut leather at 1.5 inches wide by 9 3/4 inches long. And then I have 9 3/4 inch length of 1 inch webbing. So then I'm going to first sew the leather. Once it's folded into the center, it's 3/4 of an inch wide. And then I'm going to sew it down the center of the webbing and then sew the webbing to the bag. So first thing that you might want to write down to cut, handle connectors. Cut 4 leather 1.5 inches by 9 3/4, and then cut 9 3/4 inch lengths of 1 inch wide webbing, 4 of those. Handles, I want my handles to be a little bit shorter, so I cut them 16 inches long. I still want these to be 1 inch wide, so you could cut 4 inches wide by 16 inches long, or if you want to make your handles like I am, where they have webbing on the back, leather on the front, I cut 2 inches by 16 inches for the leather, and then 16-inch long strips of the seatbelt webbing. My crossbody connectors I'm going to make just out of webbing, so I cut 2 3-inch long sections of webbing. The side overlay piece, I still wanted it to be 1.5 inches wide, like it is on the finished bag, so I cut that 3 inches by 6 inches. The exterior slip pocket, I'm going to still put the handles 5 inches apart like I do in the regular pattern, because I want that pocket to be wide enough to fit my phone into. So I cut the exterior slip pocket, 2 of these panels, 6 inches wide by 7 inches tall. The interior zipper pocket, I still wanted to be the same width, so I cut 2 of those 10 inches by 7 inches. And then the zipper panels are 1 1/4 inch wide for the top, so that's the same as the regular size bag, by 12 inches. So I think that's everything. My zipper, I just cut to 17 inches, and I figured I can trim that down if it's too long. Everything else was just cut to the reduced size at 85%. So we're going to start with making the handle connectors. So I went ahead and prepared 3 of them ahead of time, and then I just have the last one left to do. So let's see. So what I did was take my 1.5 inch wide section of leather, and I drew a line directly down the center on the wrong side, and then I put a strip of 1/2 inch wide double-sided tape down the center, and then I'm just folding both of the long raw edges into that center line. All right, and then I'm going to use 1/2 inch wide double-sided tape right down the back of that. Make sure it's centered so that you don't have any of the tape sticking off either edge. I think this double-sided tape is from Weft and Warp Co. as well. We're going to stick that then directly down the center of the seatbelt webbing. I'm not sure where the seatbelt webbing comes from, so it's widely available. Most recently, I think I've ordered seatbelt webbing from, oh, why can't I think of the name? I can't think of the name of the shop. I will think about it. Okay, so right now we have all 4 of our connectors prepared. I'm just going to top stitch around the leather using a 1/8 inch seam allowance. And I like to use a stitch length of 5 for my top stitching. So I think it's my hand wheel that's squeaking when I sew. And I don't know if I can oil that, just because it's right there by the belt. So if anybody knows, can I oil the hand wheel? Is that what that's called? I think it's called that. So I figured I wanted a smaller, the Mr. Heckles handbag comes out a little bit bigger than what I like to carry for my everyday bag. More of a coat size or a large handbag size. So I wanted to make a reduced size one for myself. I really like the shape of the bag, but I knew that I wouldn't carry one that was that big. And I also, like, the bags I actually carry are generally not very colorful. So I thought gray was a safe choice. I was talking to Lauren Mormino today, and she was suggesting that I do a tutorial for how to add a divider pocket in this bag, which I think I will do that on a separate one that's full size. Let me know if that's something that you're interested in. I was going to try it on this bag, but I don't necessarily want it on my bag that I'm going to carry, and I feel like it would need a few more adjustments than what I was thinking to make it have a center divider pocket. So let me know if that's something you're interested in seeing. all 4 of those are done. And then I think we're gonna go ahead and sew the handles together right now, just so that's out of the way. Oh, I'm totally liking this already, so. All right, and then I have one handle already prepared. The other one is just, I drew a line down the center on the wrong side. And then I put double-sided tape right down the center, 1/2 inch wide. And I'm just going to fold the long raw edges into that center line. Hopefully, this will be my 3rd time making this bag. First time was kind of without a pattern. Well, I mean, I had pattern pieces, but like my little test one before I even wrote the pattern instructions. And then the last one I filmed, and now this one, so I'm hoping that I get a little bit quicker, because I feel like it's not like a super complicated bag, and I think I just sew very slowly. And probably more so because I haven't sewn in so long. Okay, now 1/2 inch wide tape again. You could use wider tape if you wanted to. I'm just going to put this all the way down the wrong side. And then I have my piece of 1 inch wide webbing. And I cut these both to 16 inches, so they're going to be slightly shorter kind of grab handles than what the actual pattern calls for. I think handles are very much personal preference, so if you want longer handles, you know, do that. If you want shorter handles, do that. Maybe you don't want any handles and you just want a crossbody strap. I suppose you could do that, but I don't know that this is necessarily the perfect bag for that. I feel like it might look a little odd, just because I feel like the connectors going down the front are kind of part of the bag design. So, but personal preference, that's why we sew, right? Make them however we want. I feel like I cut my webbing just a touch shorter. I am also going to probably put strap ends on the end of my handles, if I have any. Oh, and I would like to add, if anybody that's watching this, I'm no expert in sewing with leather, so if you're here to learn how to work with leather, you're at the wrong place. I just do what works for me. I don't do like what is right. So I know there are certain techniques that you should use when sewing with leather, certain materials. Maybe you shouldn't use cotton, or you know, maybe you shouldn't fuse Decoville to your leather, but I do. It works for me. I'm gonna keep on doing that. If you don't like it, then that's cool. You know, you do it the right way. So I'm definitely no leather expert, and I just do what works for me. Also, when you cut the seatbelt webbing, it is nylon. It will fray, but if you run a lighter across the edge, then you can melt it. Just right across the cut edge. And that is what I recommend. That's what I do. think you could do the same exact techniques that I'm doing right now to make this bag with vinyl as well. You don't need to use real leather if you don't want to. And obviously you can make it reduced and use cotton, whatever you want. Again, that's why we make our own bags. We can make them out of any materials that we want to. All right, and I'm just again making sure that the edges of my webbing are nice and melted so that that does not come, so it doesn't fray apart. All right, so 2 handles are done. My 4 connectors are done. I'm probably not even going to make a crossbody strap, but if I do, I'm going to make it out of the webbing. So right now, let's move this out of the way. We're going to make the back of the bag. All right, so I fused the Decoville light to these pieces, the exterior, let's see, exterior back bottom, exterior back top, exterior front. And then the 2 side pieces I did not fuse Decoville light to. The bottom, and I just put those all in my heat press, and again, that's probably not right. And maybe you shouldn't do that with leather, but I did. I always do. I'm gonna keep on doing it, so. Okay, so I'm going to, I still want a 6-inch unsewn section here for my slip pocket. So that's no different than the original pattern. So I'm just going to take a ruler, centered, which I have my center marked already. All right, and I'm going to mark 3 inches to each side, maybe. All right, and for right now, I'm going to leave that section unsewn. I'm also going to sew this because it is reduced. The seam allowance also reduces. I'm going to sew this together with a 3/8 inch seam allowance. So at 85%, it wouldn't be a true 3/8 seam, but closer to 3/8 than the 1/2 that it was. So if it was at 75%, that would be truly 3/8 inch seam allowance. So you could, I mean, you could sew somewhere in between the two, but I'm just going to pick 3/8, and it should work out okay. Just something to keep in mind though, that when you print something at a different percentage, the seam allowance also will change at the same percentage. Okay, so we're going to fold the seam allowance back on the top, back top panel, back top main, I don't remember what it's called, exterior top back. I'm finding the center of my exterior slip pocket panel, and I'm going to match the center up with the center of the exterior bottom back bottom, whatever. And I'm just going to clip that in place. And we're going to sew it to this part that's in the seam allowance only. So you just want to make sure you keep the front part of that top back panel out of the way. Exterior back top, yes. Okay, so this is only a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And that's what it is in the original pattern, and that should still be sufficient. That's working out okay for me, I think. And of course, you could still use waterproof canvas for this. I normally would, but I didn't have anything that matched, and I really wanted to use that blue colored webbing. So then when I went looking at my fabric and I saw this slick, which I haven't used yet, and that it matched perfectly, and I thought this was a good opportunity. Okay, so now we're going to fold that one out of the way, down like this, and match up the other exterior slip pocket. And we're going to clip it in place with the seam allowance portion of the top, the exterior back top, and the exterior back bottom seam allowance portion is pushed down out of the way, and the other exterior slip pocket panel is also pushed out of the way. So now I'm going to sew this in place, also using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Hopefully this doesn't end up looking weird, still having the pockets 5 inches apart, or the strap connectors 5 inches apart. I don't think it will, but I really didn't want to lose the functionality of this exterior pocket because I will use it for my phone. Oh, and then we'll see if I remember. I want to add a little clip inside to hang my keys from. I never ever remember to do that. Oh, also, because I'm making this out of leather, I'm not going to turn it. I'm just going to do a drop-in lining, because that will work better. All right, so now we want to open this seam allowance like this. Press it open. Your pocket panels, one is pulled, they're pulled away from each other. One toward the lining, one toward the, or one toward the top, one toward the bottom, like this. See, they're not in that seam allowance there. They're about 1/8 of an inch away from it. So you shouldn't really, when you top stitch this, you shouldn't be sewing through them. You might right now just because this seam allowance, because of the smaller size. In the main bag you don't, it's not going to matter. But you can do this a little bit differently. So I'm going to have the bottom one pulled down, the top one is pulled up. I'm going to top stitch along the seam line using a 1/8 inch seam allowance. Okay, and then I can, if I want to, press that top pocket down now. So it's like this, and then I'm just going to top stitch through the seam along the top. So it's not written this way in the pattern, but it does work this way as well. Be careful if you're using a lighter to singe your seams. I'm not liable for that. Any damages that you cause by not being careful. Here we want to line these pocket panels up. We're just going to sew the bottom closed. Normally I would trim them to be the same length, I think because of the reduced seam allowance here, they are closer to the same length, and I'm honestly not even going to trim it. I'm just going to sew the bottom shut. Alright, and the sides will get sewn shut when we sew the connectors on. Which I think we'll do that now. Alright, I've got my 4 1-inch rectangle rings. We're going to, on the back of each of these, let me make sure this is still, yes. Okay, on the back side of each of these, we're going to measure down 3 inches and make a mark. Try this one again now. There we go. And we're marking 3 inches because we want to fold 1.5 inches of each strap connector toward the back. So I need my tape again, and I'm just going to cut a short piece for each connector. And I'm going to stick it just above the line that I marked. On the back of each of these. Now this is also a situation where you need to keep in mind the limitations of your sewing machine. So don't decide that you want to sew this with leather if you have a domestic machine, because that probably isn't the best idea. Make sure that your machine can handle the materials that you choose. I don't know for sure, honestly. Will my machine want to sew through all of this leather right here? We'll find out. I hope so, because I really like the look of these. So right now I'm just sliding a rectangle ring onto each of the strap connectors, and then folding that top edge down to the line that I marked. And I do tend to use a lot of double-sided tape, especially sewing with leather, things like that where you can't pin. It just really helps a lot to keep things from shifting. So leather, vinyl, they shift a lot. So I try to do what I can to make sure that it doesn't. So I'm just going to put a piece of tape down the back of each of the strap connectors. So Weston Warp Co. is one source for double-sided tape. Mormino carries some. I think Wawak. I know I say that wrong. Wawak. Whatever. They carry some. Wizardry has some. those are the places I can think of off the top of my head. Okay, so now we need to measure first. I need to mark the center, which I already have marked on the back from when I cut this out. So I'm just going to make a little snip at that point. And I'm going to measure from my center mark 2.5 inches over. Make sure that the ruler is straight. All right, and then I'm going to stick this strap connector in place. All right, and then 2.5 inches to the other side. So there should be 5 inches between connectors, which it's a little bit more difficult to lay the second side in place because the other strap connector's under there. Okay, so those look good. I just need to make sure when as I sew this, that this pocket is staying in place behind here so that it gets caught in the seam allowance and that I sew it shut. So I'm going to sew up one side using an 1/8 inch seam allowance, and I may have to switch out to my zipper foot. We'll see. I'm going to try not to, but so here I'm going to try to sew as far up as I can. I did order like a real hump jumper too. So this is where the strap is getting thicker because it's folded to the back. So I'm just using this piece of leather under my foot to help it adjust to the thickness better. I don't think I need it to be 4 thick, but maybe 3. And I am going to put rivets in this as well, so. Let's see how this works. Now I do want that to be thicker than 3 layers underneath the back of it now. Alright, and then we're going to sew back down the other side, also using an 1/8 inch seam allowance. Alright, I'm using like a silver thread, I guess is the color. I don't know the name. It's from Saya Swag Bags. Oh no, my presser foot kind of tore the leather up there. I didn't cover it. You know what? We're going to continue, and this bag's for me anyway, and I will like color it or something. I'm not that worried about it. All right, and I did catch my lining pocket, so that's good. Pocket lining. Yeah, we'll call it that. All right, so up this side of the strap, also using a 1/8 inch seam allowance. And again, I think as you watch me, you can tell that I'm no leather sewing expert, so just wanted to make it clear that I'm not saying that I am. I have known people to be rude about people sewing with leather and giving out bad information, so I don't want to do that. Try to make sure this is about even with where I sewed across the other strap. I think it is. Now I'm going to cover the leather back here from my presser foot with this other piece of leather so it hopefully doesn't mess it up. Which I think it would have. And then, this is the tricky part and why I need like a real hump jumper. When I sew up, it's better to have something under the front of the presser foot. And like the hump jumper has a separation, like it has, so you can put it here and it's under this two sides of your foot, but your needle won't hit it. I will sew over the leather if I put it in the front. My track record's not very good for that, so. Oh, and I do want to add, I know that my machine is squeaking, but the other sound that my sewing machine makes is not because it's sick or anything's wrong with it. It is because of the type of motor I have and the needle positioner. So every time I stop, my needle's in the down position, and then I can press my foot on the back of the pedal and it raises my needle. So this is what we have so far. Handles, or the pocket is closed. 2 handle connectors are sewn on, and I love this bag already. Okay, we're going to repeat this process to attach the connectors to this side of the bag. So I'm just marking the center. Thought if I mark it with a pen that would be better because I can see it. And this pen won't work. Okay. All right. Whatever. All right. So I'm going to measure 2.5 inches over from the center. Make sure that my ruler is straight. We're just going to do the same exact thing that we did on the other side. It's a little bit easier here because at least I don't have to make sure, I don't have to make sure that I'm grabbing a pocket in the back or anything. I'm just kind of eyeballing to make sure I'm about the same distance from the hardware as I was on the other handle connectors. You could always mark the line if you wanted to. And then I'm going to make sure I cover the top of this with the leather again so that the back of my presser foot doesn't tear the leather up. So the hump jumper that I was talking about that I ordered, I went on Etsy. I was looking at them on Amazon, and they had like the real brand hump jumper. I think that's the brand name. And they were like white. I don't know. They weren't cute. So I went on Etsy thinking maybe I could find something different, and I found some that are 3D printed, and they were different, pretty colors. So I just ordered one without really paying much attention, and I think the hump jumper itself was like $5, and shipping was more than that because I ordered it from Canada without paying attention. But it's like a purple color, I think. So hopefully worth it. Hopefully I like it. But the way that it worked, that it had one thickness on one side, a different thickness on the other side, and then you could fold the sides together and have like a third thickness. So I'll definitely make sure I share once I get that, if I like it or not, how well it works. And then I'll also share where I ordered it from. Okay, before we add the side connectors, I do want to install rivets. I think I'll measure a 1/4 inch down from the seam on each of the connectors and centered, and I'm going to make a mark. So I'm just going to measure that on each of these. My rulers are all from warmynow.com. And if you looked at or if you watched the video for the full-size bag, you'll see that I had a hard time with the hole punch. Like my hands hurt. This is probably going to be even worse because I'm going through leather and seatbelt webbing. And I really think I'm going to get, I was looking at cam press, cam snap presses last night. And I wanted a pink one and they don't have them in stock right now, or they're unavailable or something. So I don't know if I want to wait, or do I just order green? Let's get our rivets in. And I think these are maybe 8mm rivets, also from warmynow. And I just definitely decided that I will be buying the Cam Snaps press with the cutting die. And the rivet die, and then I don't know if I don't know. It'd be nice to have one set up for cutting holes and one set up for installing the rivets. I just want to make sure that these are both fully seated. So I always just put the post end through the front, and then I snap the cap end on the back. So sometimes you have a little bit of the material that was punched out in the back to kind of scrape away. Oh, that one ended up a little bit weird. Harder than it should have been. All right, now on our side connectors, we're going to measure 1/2 inch up from okay, sorry, 1/2 inch up from one of the short edges and mark. Okay, and then we're going to use our tape again. All right, and then here you're going to want either D-rings or triangle rings. So I'm using triangle rings. And I like to, for side connectors a lot, when I'm sewing with leather, I'll use webbing instead of the leather. just because it is easier and it helps to reduce some of the bulk. So let's see the pattern. I did not put Decoville light on the side pieces, by the way. The pattern says to measure 3 inches down from the top center. So I'm just marking the center along the top right side of both of the side pieces. I don't know if I want to measure the full 3 inches down for this. And then this was 1 3/4 inches down. Let me decide on this. So that would be here, and this would be like this. I think I'm going to stick with the regular measurements that are in the pattern. So 3 inches down and centered. And we're going to make a 1 inch wide mark here. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other one. Okay, so each of these are going to be taped down right at that line. Make sure that they are straight. And the reason why the webbing has a 1/2 inch gap here at the bottom is so that it's not so thick all in one spot underneath the side accent piece. So I'm just going to sew this on using a box. All right, I'm going to repeat that on this one. And it doesn't matter if this is messy because you're going to sew that accent strip over it. All right, now 1 3/4 inch down from the top center. Should be there. Okay, I'm going to use some of the tape on the back. Kind of make sure that it looks straight, and you are going 1 3/4 from the center, so it's down a little bit farther than it is where you can actually put the ruler over here next to the connector. So I just kind of situate the ruler down a little bit lower, if that makes sense. Okay, now we're just going to top stitch over these using 1/8 inch seam allowance. The edge of this is just going to cut off anyway, so I'm just going to sew down instead of stocking and having extra thread stitching. Okay. Now we're going to sew, I think, all of the exterior pieces together. Yes. It's amazing how different parts of the same leather are like completely different colors. Okay, so we're going to place one of the side panels, right sides down, on top of the front or back panel. It doesn't matter where you start. Just remember that we're sewing this at using a 3/8 inch seam allowance instead of 1/2 inch as the pattern states. And you can trim the edge of that accent piece off if you wanted to. It kind of, I don't know, I just leave it. All right, and then when we fold this back, the seam allowance will go toward the main panel, or the front or back, whichever you used. And then we're going to top stitch along that seam using a 1/8 inch seam allowance. not putting the Decoville on the end panels or the side panels. I don't think it's needed there, but I'm not like 100% sure on that. I'm just kind of, you know, winging it. So. All right, here we go with another 3/8 inch seam allowance. The seam allowance is pressed toward the back panel, and this time it wants to go toward the side panel because I didn't put the Decoville light on the side panel. So like it's easier for it to fold that way, but just force it to go the other way. I love this bag already. Okay. I really hope it turns out. Like I'm not even that confident in my skills with leather because I don't feel like I get enough opportunity to use it. Generally, like my patterns are all written for quilting cotton. I want everybody to be able to make them. So I don't have any patterns that are like specifically written for leather. And I probably honestly never will because, like I said, I'm not like versed in the actual proper way of sewing leather. So I'm not gonna write a pattern that's putting out potentially bad information. But I just really wish I had more time to fun sew. So one of my things for this year that I would really like to do, or going forward, is, you know, when I release a pattern, to have a video, obviously, that follows along with the pattern and is exactly the way the pattern's written, using all the same materials, same measurements and everything. And then to do another bag, kind of experimenting with different techniques or different materials, or printing at a different size, or other fun options that you can do with the pattern. So that I am making my patterns, I'm releasing them, I'm sewing the videos that go with, or filming the videos that go with them, but also fun sewing, because I find too much since I started writing patterns that I don't have just fun sewing time anymore. So hopefully this year and going forward, I have an opportunity to just fun sew more often. Or I just make that opportunity. Plus, now that I have this new sewing room, like I feel like it's kind of, I want to sew more. I enjoy being in this space. We'll see what summer brings, because I think we're going to have a lot of outdoor work this year. And probably every year, because we have quite a big yard. And I want to plant a garden this year. This is where it's a little bit trickier. You're sewing this into like a tube. And again, I used a 3/8 inch seam allowance for all of these things. And then all of the top stitching is still at 1/8. Fold that seam allowance toward the front panel, and then we're going to top stitch this one. This is the trickiest seam to top stitch in the whole bag, I think. So just take your time and scooch the top part of the bag out of the way as you go. And just be patient. One of my testers said that she had her whole head inside the bag to top stitch this line. So that would be funny to see. Oh, I don't know if she filmed it. I don't think she filmed it. Okay. So let's sew our bottom panel on. So the bottom panel will be right sides together with the bottom of the, or with the side panel. Yeah, the bottom of the side panel. The bottom of one of the side panels. And I'm going to sew it together using a 3/8 inch seam allowance. fold this back where the seam allowance is facing the side panel, and then top stitch through the bottom of the side panel using an 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. Alright, and then we'll repeat that to sew the other end of the bottom panel to the other side panel. It's almost 8 o'clock and I swear it feels like it's midnight to me. I don't know why I get so tired. Well, probably because it's dark all the time. I'm ready for winter to be over. Now we're just going to top stitch this side of the end panel. So this one's a little bit tricky too, but not as tricky as that last top stitch on the main panel, or the front panel. And that's the bag squeaking right now, where it's rubbing on something. Hopefully this part fits together fine. I think it should. So now I'm just bringing the one long edge of the bottom panel to match up with the bottom edge of the front panel, exterior front. So it's like a traditional boxed bottom, only kind of backwards since you're boxing the long sides instead of the short sides. So here's what you have currently. I'm going to sew that together using a 3/8 inch seam allowance. And you are sewing over the bottom of the strap connectors here, so that part can be a little bit thick. I'm just going to back stitch over it so it's not pulling the stitches weird when I turn it, since this is so thick and it's leather. Now we'll repeat that. On the other side. Okay, this bag at 85% looks like it's gonna be the perfect size for me. So first I just match the centers and then clip together all the way down to the corner. Okay, so I did decide already that I'm going to make this bag be a drop-in lining because I'm not trying to turn leather with Decoville through a pocket or through the opening in the bottom of the bag. So I'm going to turn this right side out right now because I want to see it. And I'm going to try to turn it with the least amount of wrinkling possible. I don't know if that's possible. But sometimes when Decoville gets squished up too much, it can kind of wrinkle. And I really don't want that. Although it may not be that noticeable since this is already like a distressed leather. Alright, I am enjoying this. Pleased so far. This is what I have. Here's the back, front. I forgot to put my rivets here again. Do I want them? I don't think they're necessary. Bag kind of makes me think of the 80s. I don't know why. Somebody must have had a bag this color. Okay. I'm going to set that aside. Okay, so first I'm going to place the interior slip pockets right sides together. And I'm going to clip together along the long straight edges. I think I should have ironed this. I'm not going to. But I am going to turn my iron on so that I can iron it after I turn it. Alright, so this is going to be sewn together using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And I used a shorter stitch length of 3.5, which seems to work a little bit better with this slick. The last thing I sewed with 5mm seam allowance, sorry. And it kind of bunched a little bit. Alright, so I'm going to turn this right side out, and I'm actually going to iron it. Alright, now we're going to top stitch along the top edge only. Okay, and then I'm going to lay out, one of the lining main panels right side up, and then I'm going to put the interior slip pocket right side down. I'm going to measure according to the pattern, it's 1.5 inches up from the bottom center. We'll see if that looks like it's going to work on this reduced one. I'm not sure, so we might want to change that. I think I'm going to go with just 1.25. So I'm just going to put that in place and then pop a few clips on the ends to hold it there. Oh, this could be a place where those little magnets will work. Let me try that and see if it will go through this without the leather. I'm like covered in so many like leather fuzzies. Like I think that could work. I don't know. So I'm just going to sew down the side using an 1/8 inch seam allowance, and then sew all the way across the bottom, also using an 1/8 inch seam allowance. Okay, yeah, this isn't gonna work because it's sticking to my sewing machine. Maybe that side's supposed to go on the top. I don't really know. I bought them for embroidery and they won't stick to that because it's plastic, so I just thought it couldn't hurt to try sewing also. Okay, and then we want this to be a divided slip pocket, so I think I put my masking tape away. Nope. All right, so I'm going to find the center. Maybe not the best way, but it works, right? Good enough. All right, so I'm going to use the tape to mark my center. And then I want to go, I think I'm going to do 4.5 inches over from that. It was 5 inches on the original pattern, but since this is a little smaller, and I will probably slide my keys in here. Oh, I have to remember to do that thing I want to do. I don't know what it is, but for some reason while I'm sitting here, my face gets warm. All right, so I'm going to do the center one first because I remember for sure which side of the tape I'm sewing on, which is right here. Oh my, I didn't mean to sew down that far, but nobody's gonna know because it's the bottom of my own bag. I mean, you all know. Don't tell anybody. And what happens if you sew through the masking tape a little bit, like I did right here, it kind of perforates, and then you're able to rip it out unless you back stitch over it several times, and now it's all wadded up in there. So here I think I'm sewing to this side of the tape. I'm going to anyway. If my pockets end up being all different sizes, again, it's my bag, so it's fine. It's fine, it's fine. And one more. Okay, I think I'm going to, do I want to sew my Sincerely Jen tag in here? I need one on this bag. I'm going to sew it on the other. We'll see if I remember though, because I forgot in the last one. All right, on the wrong side of the overlay, and I used templates for this one that I have from Carolina Little Stitches instead of cutting it. The template should be the regular size, or the overlay should be regular size, not the size that it prints at 85%, because that will be too small for the zipper to fit inside. And I want my interior zipper pocket to be the same size. So right now I'm just putting 1/8 inch double-sided tape around the outside edge of the overlay, not around the inside edge. You will see why momentarily. And I have one of my little woven tags that I got from Sewing Blurbs. It says make the whole place shimmer. I'm going to use that right here. So the directions say to measure 2 inches down from the top and centered. I don't know if I want to measure a whole 2 inches down. I think I'm going to go with 1.5. I'm going to do 1.5. And centered, which on this reduced size, centered would be kind of, I don't know, at the 8-inch mark, but my ruler's not like all the way to the end. So, all right, and then I just kind of creased my overlay to find the center there. I'm going to remove the paper off my tape. I don't know how well the tape holds to the slick. I have not used that combination yet, so let's see. Oh, it's sticking to my fingers well. Okay, let me make sure. Yep, I'm satisfied with that. I need to determine where I want my label to go. And make sure that it's straight. Okay, and then I'm going to pull my threads to the back to tie off. So leave nice long threads and do not backstitch. And I'm sewing this on using a 1/8 inch seam allowance. What if I run out of thread? This is where my bobbin ran out on my other one. It was on my overlay. So far, so good. So when I'm done with this, I have to go in and make my lunches for the week. So I stay at work for lunch because my house is too far away from where I work now for me to drive home on my lunch break. So I've been taking salads with me, but the only way I'm going to stick to that is if I assemble them completely tonight. So I like to make hard-boiled eggs, and then I cut the lettuce up actually so that it's not so messy and big. And then I need to cut up my cucumbers. And I take a little bag with some cheese, and I like a brand, I can't think what it's called, sesame sticks, to add a little bit of something crunchy. Okay, so I just pulled the threads to the back, and now I'm going to tie a square knot. Right now on the back side, we're going to cut right through the lining, and we're going to be careful not to cut the overlay, but we want to cut about 1/4 of an inch inside of the stitching line without cutting the overlay, and we're just cutting this lining fabric away. Okay. So now we want to prepare the zipper pocket. So it's these two pieces, and then we have a 10-inch zipper. Okay, I'm actually just gonna put the zipper pull on both of my zippers right now. Oh, I already did that. Okay, so when I cut my zipper tape, I generally singe the ends so that it does not fray. I have my 2 zipper pulls, and these are little ghosty zipper pulls that are from Warmy Now. All right, zipper pulls are on. This one, the long one, I'll need the end to be open, so this one. Okay, so we're going to put the zipper pull on this after we sew it. I did that last time and it's a little bit tricky, but it's easier to sew. So I'm going to place the 10-inch zipper right side up on the right side of one of the interior zipper pockets. Interior zipper pocket panels, I guess. And I'm going to sew this together using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. this is no different than the regular pattern, this step anyway. All right, I'm going to fold the zipper pocket panel away from the zipper, and I'm going to top stitch, let's go this way, along the edge of the zipper using a 1/8 inch seam allowance, and this will just hold the zipper down against the wrong side of the interior zipper pocket panel. Okay, and then we're going to repeat that process with the other zipper pocket panel. Place the zipper right side up on the right side of the piece. Make sure that the sides are lining up with the one that's already attached to the zipper. All right, and then I'm going to sew this in place using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Now I have not used slick before for a lining. Have I used it for something before? I don't remember what it was for though. I'm questioning if I'm going to want something for structure, which you're not supposed to interface this with like iron-on interfacing, but I think the stick-on interfacing is okay, and I have some of that from fabric therapy. It's like a stick-on fusible fleece, and I have a stick-on woven also. And I'm wondering right now if I want to put that on the back of the main pieces. No, I think it actually might be okay. All right, let's see if we can get the zipper pull back on. It's like a little bit trickier once it's sewed together, but easier to sew without it on. It wasn't so bad. All right, now on the wrong side of the overlay, we want to use our 1/8 inch tape again and just place a line of it directly down the rectangle opening, which is then going to be stuck around the zipper. And every time I pull the tape away all at once, I think I regret it, but we're just gonna go for it. I want my zipper pull to be closing toward the left, and I want the zipper to be centered from top to bottom and left to right. start right down here. So I'm going to back stitch a couple stitches. And then sew all the way around the box using a 1/8 inch seam allowance. I'm going to use my lighter to singe the threads. Alright, and then I'll fold the top panel down to line up with the bottom. And I'm actually going to clip these together. And then we're going to trim the longer panel to match the shorter panel. And just be careful that to make sure you're not trimming through the lining main. I think I'm ready for my pajamas. Alright, so now I'm just going to sew all the lining main and the overlay out of the way, and then we're just going to sew all the way around these zipper pocket panels. I'm using a 3/8 inch seam allowance. So I want to put one of my tags. These are from Heartwood and Hide. So I have leather tags and I have cork tags. Yeah, that one looks good. I think I really wanted leather tags when I ordered them, and I got a bunch of them. There was an issue that day with the black leather. Something about the ink wouldn't dry on it, or I don't really remember. Whatever it was, Jade asked me if I would like to try some cork ones because they couldn't get the leather to work. And I said sure. And honestly, I think the cork ones might be my favorite. So I'm really glad that I got those. There are a lot of ones that are like a gradient. So you have so many different colors. They're just a really great product. They were great to work with. And in the future, anytime I need tags, I definitely know where I'll be going. I think I'm going to go with that one. And I'm just going to probably eyeball it, but I want to center it beneath the pocket. And I do have like a little template thing for making sure my tags are in the right place, but it's getting late. And this is when I start to get sloppy. I don't know if I want that there. It looks like too much with this. Do you think? I think I'm gonna put it on this side. I'm just gonna put it right there. And I do not know the magical stitch length for this, but I think I will. I'm using a stitch length of 4 right now. And a 1/8 inch seam allowance. And that is not the magical stitch length, so I don't know what it is. I do think I'm going to change my bottom out after this though. That just got sloppy. Whoops. Again, good thing this is my bag. All right, now we need to do the recessed zipper panel. Okay, so the ends of this zipper, we want to fold it at a 90-degree angle, and then I use the lighter to melt it and just kind of stick it together. Be careful not to burn yourself. It's not like, I don't know, I don't feel like it's super hot. I don't have like super tough fingers or anything. I did just cut all my fingernails off though. They weren't really long, but 2 of them were broken. And I had to cut them pretty short because of the broken ones. And now they look bad. I like to keep my nails painted, but I don't know. I don't know if I'll repaint them while they're this short or not. Okay. So my 4 zipper panels. and then I have a bottom and 2 interior top panels. Okay, I'm gonna go iron these real quick. All right, so on the wrong side of these, I'm going to measure 1 inch in from the short end on each side, or on the back side of each end of the 4 zipper panels. I'm just marking this with a pen. Okay. And then I'm going to, I was going to do something, but I think I won't. I was going to try to put it along all 4 of these at once, but I think I'll make a mess of that. All right, and I kept the zipper panels the same width as they are in the regular size pattern because I want, I don't know why, I just feel like they'll be really hard to sew if they're more narrow than this. So you could always make this bag without the recessed zipper and just like no closure, or maybe some sort of like little strap with a magnetic snap on it. Different option. I don't always love making recessed zipper panels, but I like my bags to have a recessed zipper panel. So here we are. I might not like it, but I do it anyway. All right, and then we're going to repeat this on the other end. All right, I'm just folding each of these ends under by 1/2 inch as well. And then we're going to sew these onto the zipper. Well, if nothing else, we're getting close to being finished, so that's good. Drop-in linings are not necessarily my favorite, but they're not horrible. I know people have strong feelings about them. Okay, so we're going to place this zipper right side down onto the right side of a zipper panel, and I'm putting the end about 1/2 inch away from the edge of the zipper panel. So where that fabric is folded to the back is kind of my guideline of where the end of the zipper is. And then I'm just going to clip this together all the way down. I'm not sure if I'll like this for the zipper panels or not, since it's not I don't know, it doesn't have structure. It has like body, I guess you would say, but not like structure. It's not sturdy. So we will see how I feel about this. I thought about making the recessed zipper panels out of leather and just kind of having them be raw edged. Probably be less work. Oh, I was going to change my bobbin. Let's see. If it runs out on this part, that won't be a big deal. So I'm just kind of basting this together using like, I don't know, whatever, about 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. Okay. I feel like the stuff really kind of bunches up when you sew with it. I'm not sure how I feel about it. Like I just don't think it's maybe right for this sewing machine. All right, so I'm just going to place another zipper panel right side down over the one that's attached to the zipper. So the zipper is sandwiched in between, and we're just going to clip along that same edge. And then I'm going to sew that together using a 3/8 inch seam allowance. Okay, so now I'm just folding these zipper panels around the sides together and pulling them away from the zipper. So I just kind of like physically pull them. You could press this if you wanted to. I am not going to. All right, now we're going to sew these together using a 1/8 inch seam allowance as well. Here's where I'll run out of bobbin thread because I did not change it. so that got like a little bit, I don't know, it kind of gathered up a little bit. I don't love that, but I think it's okay. All right, I'm almost done. Not really, but you know, I just like to lie to myself. Okay, we're going to top stitch this using we're going to base this using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Now we're going to caution, slick is flammable. Okay, we're going to place this zipper panel right sides together with that one. Zipper is sandwiched in between, clip all the way down. Okay, now we're going to sew this together using a 3/8 inch seam allowance. I really don't know if I can oil by my hand wheel somewhere. It's so squeaky. Maybe I have my belt too tight or something. Like, I'm afraid, I don't want to get oil on the belt because then it will slip or smoke or something. I don't know. I would think it would slip. Seems logical. gets squeaky because I sew so slowly all the time. So I'm just going to, I don't know, I'm going to cut my zipper like here. And then for my zipper end on this, I think I have like some actual zipper ends, but is just fold a piece of leather. Let's put some tape on it. Alright, so I'm just going to do that, and then I'm going to top stitch it. Okay, that's how I do my zipper ends most of the time, because I don't like folding them. Okay, now let's mark the center along each side of the zipper panel. And then along, I don't want to fold my tag in half. So we'll just go along this panel, and then I'll line it up over top this one and mark the center based on this. I could also have measured, could have used my pattern piece. I'm going to sew this on. I'm just using like 1/8 of an inch seam allowance again, because we're going to sew the interior or lining top, or whatever I call it. Interior top, lining top. I don't know. But the top panel we're going to sew on with a 1/4 inch seam allowance, so. And we really could have done that in one step. All right, so This is cut at a little bit of an angle at the end, so make sure you have the longer edge that you're clipping that to the top edge of the bottom panel with the zipper panel sandwiched in between. And I just match up both of the ends and then clip together all along the top. Alright, and then we're going to use a 1/4 inch seam allowance here. Okay, and then we're going to press the seam allowance down toward the bottom lining main, bottom, lining bottom, whatever we call it. And then we're going to top stitch 1/8 of an inch beneath that seam allowance, or that seam. And we're stitching through the seam allowance, which is at the back of this. And this will make the zipper panels point up instead of down into the bag. Okay, and then we're going to see, so this is how the finished zipper will sit in the bag. It will poke up out of the top. We're going to repeat this to attach it to the other side. We're using 1/8 of an inch seam allowance to attach this. Same exact process. Alright, so we want the longer edge. And 1/4 inch seam allowance for this one. fold this zipper panel, or this lining main panel, away from the other one. The seam allowance from the top and the zipper panel is down toward this lining main, and top stitch here using a 1/8 inch seam allowance. All right, when I match the sides up, I'm matching up the seam from the top panel, and then just all the way down the sides, and then we're going to sew this together using a 3/8 inch seam allowance. And repeat that on the other side. Make sure that the zipper tab is out of the way. Now, let's unzip that zipper all the way, which will make this part easier. And the bottom panel is going to go right sides together with the bottom of the lining main. Clip those together and then sew together using a 3/8 inch seam allowance again. The only thing that concerns me about doing a drop-in lining is this being the lining, because it's like, I don't know. it's different to work with, I guess. Like I can crease it and it's not going to stay creased, and I think that'll make it a little bit harder. And I think I'll just be using a lot of tape, which I wish I would have put on already when it was flat still. But it's fine. Oh, and at least this time when I get done, I don't have to sew a crossbody strap because I'm just not going to make one. And if and when I do, it's going to be webbing anyway. I personally, if I have a crossbody strap that I use, I like it to be either webbing or like quilting cotton. I find that more comfortable to wear across my body. So for this seam, okay, and now I am going to, along the top, oh no, okay. Whew. I thought I messed that up there. Okay, I'm going to measure, it'll be easier with this, I think 3/4 of an inch down, all the way around the top, because I'm going to, it's a little bit difficult with the zipper in there. My neck is killing me. I think I have this sewing machine maybe at the wrong height or something. I'm super short and I have my chair all the way up, and it's still, every time I sew for a long time, my neck really kills me. So I feel like I need to figure out something different or sew in shorter stretches. Unfortunately, I think this might be the easiest way to mark. Alright, so there's that. Now my exterior, I'm going to do the same. And I'm just going to measure 3/4 of an inch, which might be easier on this one. Or not. Okay. Still tricky. Okay, so if you are watching this in its entirety, before you make a bag like this, and you plan to use leather and you want to do a drop-in lining, I would recommend that you mark 3/4 of an inch down from the top all the way around before you sew it together. That would be much easier. I'm gonna make sure that the connectors are folded back out of the way. It's a little bit trickier on the side panels because they're slightly curved at the top just to make it work the way the pattern is. This seam is gonna be so full of tape. I think I might just use 1/4 inch tape here. So that way it's not all in the top edge. Do I have enough 1/4 inch? Yes, I do. Okay, so I think my 1/4 inch is from Whack. Whatever. I'm just going to put this all the way around above the line that I just marked. And if I do the same, probably the full size though, with a divider pocket, still have to like figure that out a little bit, because I don't think, Lauren and I discussed it a little bit, and I kind of don't think that the way that we talked about will really work. Maybe she can do it. Lauren, you do it, please. But anyway, if I do that, That would also be a drop-in lining, so probably want to actually mark this stuff out beforehand, because that would make it a lot easier. All right, so now I'm just folding this, the top edge down to the marked line. I'm going to cut a little bit of the seam allowance out, just to make that easier and less bulky right there. I don't know if that was, that might have actually be worse to cut it out. I think I should have left it. I'm going to leave this one. Yeah, don't trim your seam allowance there. It's better with it in. That might be a little bit tricky to stitch through, but we shall see. And then after I go all the way around the exterior, I'm going to repeat this on the lining. Now the scary part is when I top stitch this, I think the bobbin thread is going to show. I mean, I wish I had a cylinder arm, because there's no way I'll be able to sew it, like actually getting the exterior against the presser foot. Okay, so 3/8 of an inch all the way around is pushed inside. That looks really nice. I think that the handle connectors could have been just a touch taller. So maybe instead of cutting them, how tall did we cut them? 9 3/4. Maybe cut them 10 even, or even 10 1/4. I think that would be better than that. All right, so let's repeat this. And then we'll clip the two together, or you could use even more tape. I don't know if I want to tape them together. Probably not. And you want the zipper all the way unzipped for all of this. The top zipper. The zipper pocket doesn't matter since we're not turning it. Do we think it would be better to tape the lining and the exterior together? Not sure. I guess I'll try to clip it in and see how it is, and then I'll decide. I think a lot of it's just going to depend on this lining. Which the tape actually sticks to it really well, so that's a bonus. It also sticks to my fingers really well. Okay, so we have the slip pocket is back there, so I want my interior zipper pocket to be on that same side. And then the interior slip pockets are on the front side. Okay, actually I freaking love this. Okay. So first we're going to line up the center of the side seam with the center of the exterior side panel. I think clipping might be okay. Maybe I'll throw a few strategic pieces of tape on. I don't know. So I'm just matching out both of the ends first. Make sure that none of my threads are coming unraveled here. That is why I singe them with the lighter. I'm absolutely nervous about top stitching this with the exterior facing down. Maybe the trip will be like just lots and lots of clips. I have lots of them, so might as well use them. Do we think that I have strap ends? Because I really want to put them on my handles. I think I do. I don't know if I have good ones. I had like kind that you like clamp on with pliers. But I think my pliers are not that great because they always look all crunched up. Ooh, okay, which actually just made me think. I saw on Cam Snap's website when I was looking at the press that they have dies for the press that are for like those kind of closures. So I want that too. Okay. I should start on the side. Yes. Like right in the center. Clips I have to take off. Come on here, work with me. All right, and I want this to be 1/8 of an inch seam allowance, so let's see. All right, here we go. No turning back. I was thinking nice and slow, and then I was thinking low and slow, which is from the Cars movie, but my son was obsessed with that when he was little. So low and slow, like Ramon. I think it was Ramon. It's been a while. so nervous for this part to get to the top and actually see what it looks like on the other side. Why am I using my ruler? I have a stiletto and I have the shiny More Me Know screwdriver. Okay, I'm not mad. It looks okay. Coming up on the next thick spot, so I'll just get my leather piece under the back of my presser foot. Let me get it out of there. I kind of wish that I put the Decoville light in the end panels because I like the structure that it gives. Not that it necessarily needs it. I just like it. And I do not know what kind of leather this is, or the thickness. It might be like a 2 ounce or something. It's lighter. Maybe 2.5 ounce. I don't know. I try to look for 3 or less. I don't know if my sewing machine can handle like over 3, but I don't have a Skyper. But I do think that should be one of my next purchases. Like big purchases, not. We're gonna get the cam snap thing first. Oh no. I think I'm gonna end up with a pucker here. If I cannot, that would be great. Let's see what to do. That was almost my finger. Okay, it didn't pucker. My seam allowance is like a little bit big right there, but that's fine. Okay. Yes, I am absolutely still going to use this bag. So, I think I would prefer Decoville light for the structure it gives, or I mean waterproof canvas for the structure it gives. This is a little bit less structured than what I would like. It reminds me of something that would make a like a good windbreaker, but it's really pretty. So there's that. Okay, that doesn't look horrible. So now we just need to attach the handles and I'm done. All right, let's mark the holes for our rivets on the handles. Let me see if I have strap-ends or not. All right, so I have 3 gunmetal strap-ends. 3. How did I manage to have 3? So we're just gonna not use them. I am going to mark, I need my pen to work. I'm going to mark my rivet placements using my rivet placement tool, which is from Jolie Lee Creations. Let's see if I can punch these holes. It's hard when you go through the webbing. I think the webbing is what is causing me grief. All right, so final step, we're going to attach our handles. So I'm going to make sure that you can see. Yeah, I think you can. I'm just going to slide the strap through the rectangle ring. I slide the post through the front of the strap and then through the back, and then put a cap on it. And then repeat that on the other side. Oh, I forgot to put the little thing for my keys. Literally have never remembered to do that. All the bags that I've made, and I've thought about doing that, I've never remembered. So my keys won't be hanging on a little clip. But anyway. Back handle, same process. I slide the strap into the rectangle ring, rivet through the front, through the back, and put the cap on. And then repeat it with the other handle. Or the other end of the handle. Oopsie. All right, so we've got the Mr. Heckles handbag at 85%. Let's see it next to the full size. That is 100% and 85%. So you can see the size difference there. This was my first prototype, so it's not completely the same as how the pattern was written, but difference in the bottoms. So 85% is perfect for me for like an everyday carry bag. So that's what I'm going to use it for. I think 100% is more like a small tote size. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed.